Good morning and welcome to this, the first of our town hall meetings with the candidates. Welcome to this special edition of WLR, which we recorded last night at the theatre in the Granary Museum, the Museum of Treasures in Waterford City. And our guests are Senator Paddy Coffey of Fine Gael, and we have a round of applause please. Seamus Ryan of the Labour Party, Councillor Seamus Ryan. Councillor David Cullinane of Sinn Féin. Independent member of the Waterford City Council, Councillor John Halligan. Independent member of the Tremore Town Council, Councillor Joe Conway. And our two independents, I'll take that one independent, Jerry Kearsey, who's an independent candidate. Can we have a bull boss for him? Ben Nutty of Fisnua. And Joe Tobin of the Workers' Party. And so to our first question, and our first question comes from a listener, John McMahon. Can somebody get a microphone to John, please?
Hi, my question is specifically on jobs. You've all said you're going to create jobs in Waterford, and I want to know what specific jobs you will create.
Okay, can we put that to Paddy Coffey, please, Senator Paddy Coffey?
Well, first of all, can I say that most of Fine Gael's policies, or all of Fine Gael's policies, are all about creating employment or creating an environment that will stimulate employment. We're in a very difficult situation, and what we need, rather than just all cuts and budgets and all of that, we also need a stimulus to create jobs. And you might ask, where will we get the money for that stimulus? Well, Fine Gael is one of the few parties that has outlined clearly where we get that money. First of all, we want to take some funding from the National Pension Reserve Fund, and we also want to sell some non-essential estate assets. And that will give us approximately €7 billion to reinvest in our economy. We need to become more competitive. So what we need to reinvest in is the likes of our water infrastructure, our broadband, and also in our schools. We see in County Waterford alone the number of schools that are in prefabs, secondary and primary. It's literally a disgrace coming back off the Celtic Tiger. So unless we have the money to stimulate that economy, we won't create the jobs. But on top of that, Fine Gael's policies is about encouraging small to medium enterprises. We want to reduce the VAT rate from 13.5% down to 12.5%. That will help the small retailers, hairdressers, all of the shops that you see on the high streets that are really struggling and burdened at the moment. So combining all of those issues, that will stimulate our economy. It will make us more competitive so that jobs can be created more easily. I believe, and Fine Gael believes, it's not the job of government to create jobs. It's a job of government to create an environment that jobs can flourish and that businesses can flourish. And high tax policies will only kill employment prospects, drive investors out of the country. So Fine Gael wants to keep the taxes as low as possible, find efficiencies on the public spend, and as I said, create the environment for jobs to flourish.
That's all well and good. I mean, Fine Gael are talking about creating 100,000 jobs and so forth. There's absolutely no mention of the 30,000 jobs you plan to cut within the public sector.
I can answer that for you. At the moment, we're spending €20,000 million or €200 million per annum over and above what we can afford. We're taking in approximately €30 billion in taxes. We're spending €50 billion. We need to plug that €20 billion gap. There's two ways of doing it. Either raise taxes, which is not possible because people are already burdened to the top and they can't afford to pay any more. As well as that, it will remove discretionary spend in the likes of the shops I spoke about earlier. People will spend less, our economy will die.
Okay, can I bring in Seamus Ryan?
Just to address that, we want to reduce the public sector by 30,000 workers. That's 18,000 over and above what is already going to be reduced to natural wastage and retirement over 4 years. And we want to do it through a voluntary severance scheme and protect the front line, because at the moment you have an embargo on the public service. They're not taking on any new people. New people can't get in there because the present system is just not working. And we need to tackle that. That is the hard issue and the hard nut. And Fine Gael are putting out our policies ahead of the election to say unless we tackle this, our country is going to go down the tubes, and that's what's facing us.
Can I come bring in Seamus Ryan now? Specifically, John was asking what any of you are going to do about job creation in Waterford.
Yeah, this is a very serious issue. The whole issue of job creation is affecting every family in Waterford. The Labour Party is pledging a 500 million jobs fund initiative, and that money, what we're saying, is to come from Strategic Investment Bank, where money will be drawn down from the National Pension Reserve Fund, 2 billion, and that 2 billion will be used to leverage money from Europe to set up a 500 million jobs fund. And we agree on some of the proposals with Fine Gael. For example, the whole issue around what we call shovel-ready projects, with the construction projects. I met a man out in Dunmore East yesterday, a construction worker, who's leaving. He leaves Waterford every Sunday night to go over to London, work on the construction over in London, along with 8 colleagues of his from the southeast, and he's leaving his family, and the difficulties that's causing. Now that man, I don't see any reason why that man can't be put to work here. Building the schools that are currently in prefabs here in Waterford, right across Waterford County. But can I just come back to the point you made in relation to the public sector? The Labour Party believes strongly that you cannot take 30,000 people out of the public sector without affecting frontline services. I was in Waterford Regional Hospital this morning where I met with both medical and non-medical workers, and there is a fear out there that of these proposals to cut back on the public sector workers. Now, we're not naive enough to say that there won't be cutbacks or there won't be savings in the public sector. Of course there will. What we're proposing, and I want to be quite clear on this, we're proposing that there would be 18,000, in the region of 18,000, right across the public sector. But these would be voluntary redundancies. There would be no enforced redundancies under the Labour Party in the public sector.
Can I bring in an independent voice? Joe Conway.
Thank you, Billy, and hello to the audience. Specifically, I would like to think that we could address the whole question of unemployment and employment in Waterford under 4 sections. And they are the agricultural sector, tourism, employment in getting rid of the school disadvantage scandal that we have in prefabricated classrooms. And also we have a great opportunity with the graduates and the skilled workers we have unemployed in Waterford of getting involved in cutting edge technology. Now if I can just have a couple of seconds to talk about the agri-sector. If you specifically look at the growth in the world population, we have the population of the world increasing by the equivalent of a German population every year. That's 80 million people. And there is a 3% worldwide demand for agricultural produce. And I think we're ideally placed. We have a lean, green and clean agricultural sector. And we can get and forge ahead in supplying the food needs for that sector of the world population. And the growing populations in the Orient, in China and India, they are very desirous of getting the sort of dairy produce that we are producing here in Ireland. And Waterford, as a fertile county with a well-developed agricultural sector, can address this and create a lot of jobs.
Okay, thank you very much. Can we move on now to our second question? The second question comes from John English, who is a listener. John, could you stand and direct your question, please? Thank you.
Hiya lads. I just want to know why my 3 kids have to emigrate out of this country. They're the future of this country. And if we keep our kids, my kids and everyone else's kids keep going, there'll be no pension fund in 20 years for anyone in Ireland. That's my question, lads.
Okay, David Cullen.
I think one of the tragedies of the mess that has been made of the economy is the fact that not just do we have 460,000 people out of work or 14,500 people in Waterford out of work, but 100,000 more young people have left the country. And recent figures show that 50,000 more people are going to leave this state. And it's our young people who we are investing in. And Paudie spoke earlier about cuts in 30,000 in public sector workers. The Labour Party are saying 18,000. The difference between them and Fianna Fáil is somewhere in the middle of 24,000. And we have an auction politics of how many people we are going to sack in the public sector. And we have a situation where we are training up nurses at the moment, and it's costing this state money to make sure that nurses are qualified, nurses are trained, and they're the very people who are leaving this country. We have schools where people are still being taught in class sizes of over 30, and again we have this embargo on teachers and frontline services. And I don't believe any of the parties, by the way, when they say that they're going to sack people in the public sector, that it won't impact on public sector in frontline services. I didn't interrupt anybody.
Get the facts right.
My facts are this, that I've looked at all of the job losses across the public sector over the last 10 years, and frontline workers have lost. Now, what we are calling for in the wider scheme of things is for a proper job stimulus plan where we take €7 billion from the National Pension Reserve Fund to invest in the national economy, the regional economy and the local economy. That money at the moment is being earmarked to pay for private banking debt. We're saying let's build the schools, make sure we have the hospitals, make sure we repair the roads, get some of the architects, the plumbers, the bricklayers and the people back to work in this state. Let's invest in our economy and not be paying back for private banking debt, which is not our debt to pay back.
I have to take a break. Can I back to you, John, quickly? Your response to that?
Well, look, that still don't answer my question. I have 3 kids are going off in August. I might never get to see them again because God knows where they're going to end up going. All I'm saying is what you need to do in this country is look after the young people now, because if you don't, lads, this country is in a serious, serious trouble.
Thank you,
That's
Mr.
where
John.
it's going,
We take a break.